Okay, here we are, 2000 Cherokee Sport, and I'm showing you how to put in a new headlight switch. I didn't take a video of this thing coming apart, so I'm going to show you it going back together. It's just a reverse procedure, and it's a little frustrating, but nothing the average guy can't handle. So the hardest part was getting the main dash piece off, and that is due because of these clips right here. And as you can see, they have to be squeezed from the top. Pushing up from the bottom does nothing but aggravate you. So after several minutes of trying to figure out how to get in there, basically my fingers were all that was required, but it does take some strength to do, and it was a little bit frustrating to figure that out. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. You don't got to remove the whole dash. You don't have to remove the instrument cluster, although you do have to pull one screw out of that instrument cluster. I actually pulled all of them out, but it doesn't need it. I think this is still a cable speedometer, so it's not easily removed without more rigmarole getting the speedometer cable off and everything. So anyhow, that's kind of the gist of all the parts that need to come off. You don't need to take the dash apart or the glove box apart or any of that stuff, or any of this side for the AC venting stuff. Okay, well, let's get started. So you know, everybody tells you to put grease on the fittings, Electric grease or whatever. I don't have any, so hey, sorry, I ain't doing it. Okay, here goes the switch back in. So when you're putting these or taking off mostly these plugs, you got to be careful to release the clips so you don't break those. And when you push them back in, generally you don't have to worry about releasing anything, they just snap back in. But once you get the switch behind there, you have to use a Phillips screwdriver and align the holding screw with that flange on that switch, and that gets a little frustrating because it doesn't want to line up and wants to cross thread. A little finger pinching and you get her done. So now we're going to return the screws to the instrument cluster. There's four screws that hold it in place, and I'll be putting all those screws in. Something I've done for years is get paper or plastic cups and label them. Right here, I put instrument cluster, 4 screws. You get, 15, 20 screws laying on the floor, and you go, well, shoot, where all these go? These are all the same because they're all out of the instrument panel, so it doesn't matter. But when you get different screws, like the instrument cluster or for the steering column, they're actually a lot longer. Steering column, they're a lot longer screws, so just an easy way to keep them separate. So now the 4 steering or instrument cluster screws are in. Now the reverse order is to put the main panel on, and it's a little battle to get on. Like I say, it's these clips right down here that give you the problems right here. So going in, they won't be as much of a problem, but taking them out, you have to physically squeeze them. You can't push up from the bottom, and the bottom is the only place you can actually access. So you have to squeeze them from the top to get them to pop out. So fishing the dash cover on is just it's just take your time. Don't force things. Don't break things. It'll go in. Try and get a view here of where these clips clip in at, and you can see that metal clip lined up with the plastic right here. And I haven't even put these screws in. It gives you a little bit more play. There's 4 screws on each side. Just leave those out until you get this cluster in there. and just snap those in. Just like that. Now it's snapped in, and there's no way to release that from the bottom. You have to physically reach behind and pinch those, and it's just a real drag. So here it is with the dash basically snapped back in place. No screws have been put in yet. The clips are pushed in on both sides, as you can see. And now I'll just put the screws in. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6, 8 screws on the dash. Okay, so now all 8 screws are in the dash. There's 4 around the radio, and there's 4 underneath. 2 on this side where the clips are, and 2 on this side. The next hardest thing is to get the top steering column cover on. It's got to go around the adjustable steering column. It's got to go around the blinker assembly, and of course the key switch and everything, but trying to get it in there without breaking off all these little tabs and whatever is kind of a little jigsaw puzzle. But there again, just make sure your column is adjusted all the way in the down position. I just flipped it up, so make sure you release the steering column and push your steering wheel all the way down. Gives you the most room to do the job. So there's the top cover in place, and now the bottom cover basically is an easy application. Just make sure everything's lined up, and there's 3 screws that hold it on. So, and you'll need a long Phillips screwdriver for those. And there you have the upper and lower steering column cover put together. 3 screws in the bottom. Long reach Phillips screwdriver will do the job. And for those of you that don't know, your headlight switch is designed to pull out. Your actual rod is designed to pull out. So if you want to test your lights at this point, just shove your rod in, and we could hook up our battery now and see if we have lights. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So we'll hook our battery back up. We'll tighten it later, but let's just see if we do have headlights. So we've turned the ignition on, and let's see if we have lights. Okay, we got lights. Oh, pull this key out here. So now we go back to putting the rest of the dash together, and the next piece to go in is our reinforcement piece. Is the only metal piece we got to deal with. So we'll put that underneath the steering column. So this has 2 tabs on it, one there and one here, and they fit in notches underneath the dash here, right above the brake pedal. So just make sure you get those put in just like so, and then it just swings right up in place. Alright, your next piece to go on is your trim cover that just covers up the metal piece underneath the steering column. And it just snaps on with these 2 clips on each side, and then there's 3 screws at the bottom. So just set it up in place, snap it in place from the top first, and then put the screws in at the bottom. So you just snap it in place just like that. And the bottom doesn't even have the screws in it yet, but you can see it holds itself in place real well. Just put your 3 screws in. For me, the scariest part about doing any dash work is not knowing what pulls apart and what screws apart. And so this trim that goes around the main console here with the radio and everything, it actually pulls apart at the bottom. And it took me a while to figure that out, not wanting to risk breaking anything. So when you put this back on, line it up, the bottom is just going to push in, snaps in place, the whole thing just snaps right in place. So that's all there is to that center trim piece. Just start at the bottom. When you pull it out, just do the reverse of what I did. Start at the bottom, pull on the tabs right here, and it just releases the whole trim piece. Well, that's about it. You have just watched me put this dash back together. Taking it apart just took me maybe 10 minutes longer just figuring things out, but it's all back together factory, and the headlamps work, so we're good to go. I hope this helps someone. If not, well, I tried. Okay, bye.